everyone. Welcome. Oh, well, let's do something else for the title right now. Let's say, are my people destroyed through lack of knowledge? Are my people destroyed through lack of knowledge? Question mark. And that is found in, not in 2 Timothy, which is what we were looking at recently, but Hosea? How do you even pronounce that? And we're looking at chapter 4, verse 6. Intense stuff. Very intense stuff. Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. It's amazing how much stuff is in the Bible that you don't even realize. Okay, here we are. Are my people destroyed through lack of knowledge? Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. I'm learning how to use this and how to stream with this. And if anything I say is useful, that's a bonus. Or if the feeling that you have while you're listening is helpful, then that's a bonus. Okay. Oh. Plus, nobody's watching, so I'm not even nervous. I'm going to read, Hosea, the whole Old Testament is very complex and difficult to understand. And it's very oriental, meaning there's a lot of symbolism involved that we don't even begin to understand from the Western world, the way we've been taught, the way our minds have been formed by the Jesuits and other people. So when we get to Hosea, we read it and it says Bible scholars even differ on what a lot of this stuff means. They don't really know what they're talking about. But one scripture popped into my mind this morning, wanted to share it, and that was Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. We'll start with verse 4. Really, you'd have to start from the beginning and go to the end. And we don't have time for that, but we'll start from verse 4. But let no one bring a charge, let no one accuse another, for your people are like those who bring charges against a priest. You stumble day and night, and the prophets stumble with you. So I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. And that's the scripture that came into my mind. My people are destroyed through a lack of knowledge. When have we had more knowledge in the world than we do right now? And where is all that knowledge concentrated? In the Western world, arguably the US, Europe. So, therefore, do we have the healthiest population in the history of the world? No. Arguably the sickest. Do we have the longest life expectancy of anywhere in the world? Not even close. And just keep going. Strange diseases. Now we have other diseases coming. So what is the knowledge that is missing that is actually destroying us? If we have all of this information, if we know all this stuff, how come we're getting destroyed? I'll just keep going. Because you have rejected knowledge, I also reject you as my priests. So therefore, the priests rejected knowledge, and the priests were not passing it on, and the people got destroyed. Because you have ignored the law of God, I will also ignore your children. This is pretty hardcore. You don't want God to say this to you. The more priests there were, the more they sinned against me. Now that's an interesting thing, isn't it? You would think the more priests there are, the better things are. No, the opposite. The more priests there were, the more they sinned against me. They exchanged their glorious God for something disgraceful. They feed on the sins of my people and relish their wickedness, and it will be like people, like priests. I will punish them both. I will punish both of them for their ways and repay them for their deeds. They will eat but not have enough. They will engage in prostitution but not flourish, because they have deserted the Lord to give themselves to prostitution, old wine, new wine. Take away their understanding. My people consult a wooden idol, and a diviner's rod speaks to them. The spirit of prostitution leads them astray. They are unfaithful to their God. Interesting how most of the time, when we're talking about either marriage or prostitution, harlotry, all these things, that it's God and his people. It's very seldom talking about actual marriage in the Bible, which is interesting. It's always a metaphor, or almost always a metaphor. Wow, this goes prostitution, adultery, harlots, and it goes on and on and on. Though you, Israel, commit adultery, do not let Judah become guilty, blah, 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 etc., etc. Okay, and even when their drinks are gone, they continue their prostitution. Their rulers dearly love shameful ways. A whirlwind will sweep them away, and their sacrifices will bring shame. Okay, very, very complex. Let's go back to verse 6. My people are destroyed through a lack of knowledge. I was thinking about, okay, take the COVID thing, right? Where does the knowledge come there? What kind of knowledge do we have? And how destructive is this horrible illness that's greater than the medical knowledge of the entire plane we live on? Plus, we find out gain of function research was done to make the illness worse, and then somehow accidentally released, had nothing to do with bats, whatever. Okay. But this destruction that's happening, the interesting thing to me is that people don't even notice. People don't even notice their children dying. They don't even notice the world collapsing. And they think that being super fat and unhealthy and sick is normal and standard. And we don't even respond to it, that our children having allergies, our children being overweight, our children dying of cancer, that's normal in our world. What if that isn't normal? What if that can be fixed? What if that can be healed? What if there's a different way to have, do, and be things, right? What if we could get knowledge that was going to protect us from all of that? Where would we get that knowledge, and who would give it to us? Yesterday's talk was ever living and never coming to a knowledge, or ever learning and never coming to a knowledge of the truth, right? So therefore, what happened and why? Who is teaching what and why? And where does this knowledge come from? How do we get this knowledge? Has it been sitting there the entire time within us, within holy books, and we just haven't bothered to look? That is the question.